What is going on, everybody? It is Monday, 8 a.m., October 12th. Price of Bitcoin currently at 11,265. Looks like we had a bit of a slide overnight. I'm going to discuss the 15-minute and the higher time frames to show you all exactly what I'm seeing in the market, to maybe give us an objective view of how this could be the pullback that you want to potentially long. If not, where we could short at a particular rejection point if we get that. And then, of course, we'll look at the higher time frame views and see exactly where this market is heading for the remainder of the week and possibly the end of the month. The other thing that we actually discussed for the stock market, as well as Bitcoin, and potentially things regarding stimulus and how U.S. equities would be moving going into election time. I made a video with Faisal and Austin yesterday, so make sure y'all watch that. This is on our YouTube channel. It's called Stock Market Overview, Solar Stocks, and then Portfolio Construction, etc. Okay, so make sure you watch this because it contains important information pertaining to Bitcoin, pertaining to other assets that are going to benefit off the stock market, off the stimulus like Bitcoin. Okay, so let's get to the technicals, right? On the 15-minute time frame, what we see is a whole lot of chop going into this triangle. It was a developing triangle, and then of course overnight we kind of slid off. And one of the reasons that I think it slid off was we had a gap to close right here. Funny enough that the gap itself still is not closed on the CME. But we did have a decent amount of sell pressure going to other exchanges. For example, BitMEX over here dropped all the way to about 11,190, which actually is literally where the gap is pretty much open from way down here. I think from this area right here, 11,100 or so. And then other exchanges like Bitfinex went a little bit deeper, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check that out, right? Let's check out Finex here. Finex went to a low of $11,100 almost. Okay, so you could see, I think that gap definitely created some sell pressure for us. Of course, there's many other reasons why the sell-off, I'm sure, happened, but it's hard to gauge, at present moment, that from here, we should just start rolling over. So I saw some people on Twitter post about, this is the top, and from here we're going to start breaking down. I think that's possible to say if we do a couple different things. Okay, so for example, we probably need to in some way come back inside this area. Okay, so let me go on a fresh chart. So I have this, right? Okay, so I'm going to turn this off. Okay, let's go to 12-hour. All right. This is a better way to look, I think. Where is it? Right there. There it is. Okay. So, I think this is a good area to define a range high of this, triangle that was being created. Of course, we can easily map out diagonals kind of like this as well, but I think this range right here is the best way to define where we are in terms of the market structure, and if we start breaking below, where we could head towards. Okay, so then we can effectively draw a different kind of range, which is this little one right here. Okay, so this would be a different kind of range low. All right, so within this consolidation, as you can see before we made that big breakout, if we don't come back inside this range, I think everything up here could be defined as a potential, buying the pullback opportunity from here on the way up. Now, let's kind of create a caveat to that, which is, if you do think of this area as a pullback opportunity, it doesn't mean that from here we're just going straight up to the moon. There are other levels in between from where we are right now to where we need to be, getting towards for the next, potential big bullish cycle. One of the big levels that I've been talking about for several weeks now is, especially when we got into this area, when we got into there around August, is this blue marker that goes back. It's right around 11,775. It goes back all the way to 2019 across the board. It's definitely a key resistance area there. More importantly, it's a key resistance area right the heck over here, where it was support right here, as you can see, deviation of the resistance, actual resistance right there, resistance, sell off. And so even in 2020, just over the past several months, that blue line, it did its job as resistance. It was capped resistance right there, capped as resistance right there. We broke up. Again, this was a short squeeze, pulled back inside that resistance. Again, tried to make our way above resistance and then sold off. So I think there's something of a large importance that we need to give to this particular level. So that's around 11,775. Again, it's not an exact number. It's probably going to be a range or a zone, but that is the one area that I'm paying attention to. And so the way we can sort of define a trade as a long setup is kind of something like this, right? So let's do this. Let's go back to that 2018 area, right? And we'll just put a horizontal right around there, all right? So let's do this, and let's use a magnet tool to give us a clean high right there. Okay, so we're gonna make this blue because that's what we did earlier. And that will help us define a key area that we're watching, okay? So across the board, right? So the range play was that we broke out of the range. And so if we're getting a range retest, or even this being a retest right here, right? It's very possible that this is all the retest that we need. It's not necessary that we have to break below this area. This area right here, which is 11,175. Again, this is Finex numbers, so go up or down 10, 20 bucks on different exchanges, and you've got somewhere around that same ballpark. So let me get rid of this diagonal because I don't think it matters right now. So bounce from here, possible that we start heading up towards here. Break below this area, and then we start heading back down here. Break below this area, and then we start probably heading to range low. Okay? So those are the couple of options that I see at present moment. Now, this 11.7-ish area, that's as far as my larger targets go. Okay, meaning when we approach this area, how we react to this area is going to be pivotal in understanding what the market itself is trying to show us, which is, are we trying to bust through this thing and start heading up higher? Or do we approach this area with a bit more of reluctance, less volume, and then do we start rolling over, maybe even pushing up above it, trapping some buyers up there, and then start rolling down, kind of like that? It's very hard to say where the market wants to go right now. If we look at the stock market, it gives us, in my opinion, a pretty decent visual that we are coming up towards the previous high of the stock market, just as BTC wants to approach that key resistance level of 11.7. Maybe it even gets to 12,000 or something, just as a bit of a deviation. But how the market reacts up here for the stock market, and how Bitcoin reacts to this blue level, which is 11.7, that is going to be a very, very telling sign. Because as we get into the election season, I think one thing is clear. Whether the Democrats or the Republicans win, either one of them are going for stimulus deals, okay? Lots of money is going to be pumped in the market, but the time frame varies, industries vary, and how they allocate that capital towards businesses varies too. So when those things vary, those parameters vary, remember, it's things within the stock market, things within the crypto space that will have some sort of impact. And as we start seeing the news develop regarding, BitMEX potentially being under scrutiny, um, due to U.S. regulators hammering constantly. So there's this document right here that I put out for Advantage members. Um, where is it? I'd done it somewhere. Yeah, so it's this one right here. Basically, there's a lot of U.S. traders who had their YouTube shilling BitMEX, and lots of people effectively, talking about BitMEX being the derivatives exchange that they want to trade from the U.S. and losing a lot of money. And the DOJ, the SEC, FBI have kind of been on a hunt for BitMEX, and the CTO recently had gotten arrested. Of course, he's out on bail now. There's talks about Arthur Hayes potentially stepping down from the CEO position. So there's just a lot happening. And when there's uncertainty like that in the markets, it's quite possible that we have maybe, some added sell pressure, right? Reduction of risk, maybe movement of capital from exchange to exchange. We don't really know what happens in situations like this. But in any case, these are developments that we need to be paying attention to, because the most unique thing about markets is that, these events, news events, catalytic events, they all happen to happen right around key resistance level. So it's not a surprise, really. It's just the way the market is really efficient like that. And so as we approach this area, this 11.7 area, maybe, we get up a couple $100 or something, keep an eye on that and see how the sentiment has started to turn, what exactly is happening in talks of the stimulus conversation in the US, what's happening with, things like BitMEX, or is there more scrutiny from regulators? These are going to be very, very important scenarios to be paying attention to, because what that'll do is it will keep you one step ahead of your emotions and other people's emotions of how we need to react to the market going forward for the next several months. Now, as I stated, the chances are pretty high that stimulus is going to be passed, right? But at present moment, the market is not necessarily showing you that stimulus is definitely going to be passed, or it has passed, because if it did that, well, there'd be a couple of different things happening. Number one, we'd probably start breaking through this area, or approaching and consolidating right around this area, and we start pushing up. Same thing with the ES, right? We'd start doing something like that, maybe even pushing higher past this September high. So the markets always know when there's that kind of certainty, or that kind of lack of rigidity that's present, where, there could be more of a risk on nature, meaning money can go into these markets and start being a little bit more bullish, being a little bit more optimistic for higher upside, more stimulus and such. And I think at present moment, the market is showing you, okay, well, we've done a good enough job dragging the market up here around 11.4, 11.5. But from here, now we got to see what the heck can be done. Okay, so we will pay attention to it. All right. Now, from the local, technical standpoint, okay, so you're probably thinking, all right, we had a pretty sizable drop. What do you do with this drop, right? Well, this to me right now, where we are, this is definitely a bullish SFP, because we pierced below all these lows, as you can see, and especially this key low right here, and you can see we were holding up above that area quite well. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if we get maybe another, spike down and then possibly push back up. But as long as I think we maintain price above 11,236, which is this key low right here, I think we should be okay. We should be okay to at least come back up towards August monthly open, which is 11,361. And then from here, this is where we need to start defining bullish price action above this area, holding. And then we can start talking about 11,500, which takes out this key high. And then, 11,650 and 11,700, which are some of these key levels that I talked about before. Okay. So at present moment, you can definitely take, trades one level at a time, level to level. Non-investment advice, of course, but that's how I would be looking at the market. I don't think that there are scalp long opportunities available. At least I don't see any. Maybe if you get up towards, this 11.6, 11.7 level, I don't know, maybe you could take a scalp from here back towards this area. But it just seems a little bit easier to me that, pullbacks could be seen as potential buying opportunities, right? That's how I see it. Okay. Let me see here. So we had a new weekly, right? We had a new weekly candle open. So we'll check that out. First of all, this is the daily candle structure. I just had this really odd feeling that this high is going to get taken out over the next couple of days. Bitcoin generally does not leave highs like that just wide open. Let me give you a perfect example, right? This one right here. See how this wick pierced above this high right here, right? Let me give you another example. Say even like something like this X right here. Well, this wick pokes past that, takes that liquidity, and then rolls over. Let me give you another example. Let's just say this was the key high. Again, Bitcoin pushes up past that and then rolls over, right? So generally, Bitcoin's pretty darn good at taking out key highs like that. So I'm thinking at present moment, even if we make that push up, well, like I said, we're right near that key resistance level. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to just go straight up. But I think chances are high that we come back towards this area. And it's not just my instinct is not just a feeling, but it's rather that when markets are so well defined by technicals and so efficient in a sense that they look for key resistance areas to, effectively sniff out. Well, once they know that, this is the sell pressure of the market, more often than not, price kind of gravitates towards the strongest resistance level and the strongest support levels. So for example, price nicely created a base here once, and then again, it came back here and tested twice, and then moved away, right? So I'm thinking that, even from here, this is that 11.7 area being the key resistance level. I'm thinking we get there at least once. Okay, by the end of the month, I'm thinking we get there once, maybe twice, but again, just at least once because this is such a key SR level. All right, so that's how I'm going to be playing the market, whether it's from the standpoint of BTC or Ethereum. I already have a long position in ETH. I took some profit at 375. My entry point is 360. So far, so good. I'm doing all right in my position so far. Actually, my entry is right there. Took some profit at 374. And then I'm still looking for profit up here. Okay. So we'll see how that goes. You could also look at Link in the same manner, right? I'm thinking that Link has to come towards this blue line, which is a key resistance level that comes back from the highs in August to the lower high right here in later August, and so where we are in October right now. And how we react to this area right here, how we react to this area right here, I think that will also be a defining moment for Bitcoin, ETH, and other altcoins of how they react. Okay, because as I've stated before, sometimes altcoins and Bitcoin, they all come to the same level together. And once they do that, they're effectively all either going to break out or they're all either going, they're going to break down. It's just a great phenomenon in crypto. And I think it's very useful to have things like that, which are tightly correlated. Okay. Let me see. So yeah, if you guys enjoy our content, again, hit the thumbs up. You can go to our website, sign up for our Advantage membership, and we have all the locked channels that you can see for Advantage members right here. We have the alpha indicator, which is this indicator that we utilize quite a bit in our community now. At least, analysis wise, I like to look at it at least, once or twice a day to give me confirmation of my own technicals. And it helps me, see the market from a different perspective, which is kind of great. So yeah, all that is available for purchase right here in the products page, thealphatrades.com, or you could buy our Advantage membership. You get all these locked channels that you can see, whether it's the alpha indicator analysis that we'll put out, the Bitcoin trading analysis, the scalp trades, long, shorts, and then of course our chat, altcoin trading, and we have a ton of information here and lots of chatter and active conversation, the DeFi trading, and of course, live trading and um, analysis of U.S. equities. None of the information that we provide is, should be taken as investment advice, but we provide a whole lot of information, a whole lot of analysis that we use ourselves to trade with. Okay. So if you want to learn, if you want to just sharpen up your technical skills, come join our Advantage community. Until then, y'all take care and I'll catch up with you soon. All right. Cheers.